Brought to you by Penguin.
It's a Battlefield by Greene, read by James Wilby.
Chapter 1. The Assistant Commissioner was careful of his appearance before meeting men younger than himself. It gave him the same kind of confidence as dressing for dinner had done in eastern forests. He opened the cupboard door and brushed his dark suit before the mirror, his narrow, yellow face bent close to the glass. Young men had certain savage qualities. They moved quickly. They sometimes carried poisoned weapons. He brushed slowly, in rhythm with the plodding jungle step of his mind. He said to his secretary, "I've put my telephone number on the desk. If there's anything urgent—" As usual, before a sentence was finished, he became lost in the difficulties of expression. Slowly, with a fateful accumulation of hesitant sounds, he hacked his way forward. Urgent? You will please, ring up the number and, ask for me." Bowler-hatted, umbrella over the left arm, he passed down long passages lined with little glass cells. Telephone bells rang. Electric buzzers whirred like cicadas along his route. But his thoughts stepped carefully on, undeflected, undelayed, certainly unhurried. By the time he reached the courtyard, he had decided that he did not care for politics. In Northumberland Avenue, he said to himself that justice was not his business. All round Trafalgar Square the lights sprang out, pricking the clear, grey autumn evening. The buses roared up Parliament Street and swung in a great circle. A policeman at the corner of the avenue recognised the Assistant Commissioner and saluted him. The Assistant Commissioner nodded and crossed carefully where the signs pointed. "I've got nothing to do with justice," he thought. "My job is simply to get the right man." And the cold, washed air did not prevent his thoughts going back to damp paths steaming in the heat, under leaves like hairy hands. One pursued by this path and that, and only as a last resort, when there was no other means of ensuring a murderer's punishment, did one burn his village. Justice had nothing to do with the matter. One left justice to magistrates, to judges and juries, to members of Parliament, to the Home Secretary. The Assistant Commissioner paused for a moment before a shop window in Pall Mall filled with carpets. One could not live long in the East without learning something about them. The Assistant Commissioner was interested, but he had no idea whether the colouring was beautiful or coarse, whether the pattern pleased or repelled. He was interested because he could apply certain formulas to determine whether the carpet had been made in the East. He satisfied himself, as far as he was able without touching, that the carpets were genuine, before he went on to the Haymarket Corner. It never occurred to him to buy one. In his flat he had a few rugs on hardwood floors. A newspaper poster caught his eye. Drover Appeal Result. And another, further up the Haymarket, Busman's Appeal Result. An opportunity for investigation occurred to him, and he bought a paper, asking the man whether any particular interest had been shown in the news that night. The man shook his head and pointed to his mouth. He was dumb, and the Assistant Commissioner walked on, frowning a little. From Piccadilly he turned up a side street. He was not a man to waste a walk, even to an appointment. Women were coming out of offices on the ground floors of the tall, blank buildings. He paused before one number. There had been an agitation recently in the Sunday press over brothels in London, and the police were paying particular attention to a certain flat. The Assistant Commissioner pursed lips which frequent fevers had drained of colour and left dry and pale. He considered morality no more his business than politics. It was impossible to keep the brothels closed. They sprang up like mushrooms overnight in the most unlikely places. One, he knew, had existed for years next door to a most respectable club. If you had them watched, your police were bribed. It was much better to let...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?